You're looking at a live view of Falcon 9 awaiting liftoff at 8:27 p.m. Eastern Time from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Happy New Year, and thanks for tuning in for the Thuraya 4 mission, SpaceX's first launch of 2025. My name is Somi Srivastava, and I'm a structures engineer here at SpaceX. Today, we are launching the Thuraya 4 next-generation geostationary communications satellite for Space 42. Thuraya 4 will allow the company to extend its service across a greater area, serving customers in Europe, Africa, Central Asia, and the Middle East. This will be Space 42's sixth geostationary satellite. At T-minus 9 minutes and 40 seconds, we're looking good for an on-time liftoff. The vehicle is healthy, and the eastern range is ready to support. Weather is looking very favorable for our launch attempt today. And while we wait, let's take a moment to meet the vehicle that's taking Thuraya 4 to orbit today. The two-stage Falcon 9 vehicle on your screen stands 229 feet tall. When it's fully fueled, it'll hold just over 1 million pounds of propellant that the vehicle will burn through in less than 3 minutes after liftoff. We began loading those propellants on both stages of the vehicle at T-minus 35 minutes. Starting from the top of the rocket, our payload is safely enclosed inside of the 17-foot diameter payload fairing, which is the pointed structure on the very top of the rocket. Made of a carbon composite material, the fairing is made up of two halves that protect the satellite on its way to orbit. The fairing is jettisoned approximately 3 minutes into flight. The fairing halves supporting today's mission are flight-proven, with one half flying for its 19th time and the other flying for its 16th time. And we'll be recovering these again after today's flight with our recovery ship, Doug. Below the payload fairing, we have the second stage, which is the part of the rocket that will take our payload to its destination orbit today. The second stage will ignite its single Merlin vacuum engine, or MVAC for short, about 2.5 minutes into flight, and then will later relight for a second time before we deploy the satellite. Below the second stage, you can see the black inner stage, which is part of the first stage booster. At the bottom of the first stage, there are 9 Merlin engines that will get Falcon 9 off the ground and up to the thinner parts of the Earth's atmosphere. Shortly after liftoff, the first and second stages will separate from one another, then the second stage will continue to orbit, while the first stage will start making its way back down to Earth. The first stage is designed to be reflown with minimal refurbishment between flights. Today's booster is flying for its 20th time, and will be attempting to land on our drone ship named A Shortfall of Gravitas, which is currently stationed in the Atlantic Ocean. And lastly, the large truss structure you see next to the vehicle is the transporter erector, or TE. We use it to both roll the rocket out to the pad and to raise it to its vertical launch position. The TE also routes the vehicle's fluids, power, and telemetry umbilicals from the ground systems to the rocket and satellite until Falcon 9 transitions to internal power. In callouts over the nets, you may hear it referred to as a strongback from the launch team. At liftoff, the TE will retract in order to clear the way for Falcon 9's ascent. At T-minus 7 minutes and 3 seconds from liftoff, the countdown continues to go smoothly. And while we wait, let's learn a little bit more about the satellite we're taking to orbit today. We are now T-minus 5 minutes and 52 seconds from liftoff. To prepare for the retraction of the transport erector, we'll see the clamps open up around the base of the second stage, and the TE will pull away from the rocket. And all of that should be happening in about a minute or so.
Tanks are pressing for strongback retract.
Good call out there, saying that the tanks are now pressed for strongback retract. Flying on board Falcon 9 today is the first next-generation geostationary communication satellite for the Thuraya Telecommunications Company in the United
retract has started.
Arab Emirates. Great call-outs there. We can see the clamp arms slowly start to open up around the second stage. You can see the clamp arms are now fully opened and the strong back will slowly begin to recline away, as we can see on our screen right there. So at this point in the countdown, both the first and second stages are nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. The first stage and second stage should finish loading propellant about a minute apart from each other, with the first stage finishing up at around T-minus 3 minutes and the second stage at T-minus 2 minutes. The white clouds you see around the vehicle are formed as the chilled gas above the LOX tank liquid surface vents overboard to maintain pressure in the tank as needed. And when that gas comes out into the warmer air, it condenses the water in the air and forms those clouds that you are seeing on your screen.
Stage 1, LOX load complete.
Good call out there. So after second stage LOX load completion, we will have Falcon 9 in startup at T-minus 60 seconds. And that means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers will have taken over the launch countdown. After that, just inside of T-minus 2 seconds, we will light the Merlin 1D engines for liftoff.
Stage 2, LOX load complete.
Great call out there. The payload continues to be healthy and the Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket.
Ground gas closeouts.
Today's payload will be able to respond real-time to surges in demand in hotspot areas while serving 3 times the number of customers over traditional mobile satellite systems. Coming up shortly, Falcon 9 will be in startup.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
LD, go for launch.
We just heard from the launch director. Falcon 9 is go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Go Falcon, go Thuraya.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
And windy, chamber pressures are nominal.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. During ascent, we tilt the engines, or gimbal the engines, and that turns the rocket
Power and telemetry
horizontally
nominal.
in what we call a gravity turn. We're still going up, but now we're also heading horizontally away from the launch pad. Moments ago, we throttled the engines down in preparation for max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure. This is a critical moment during flight
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
because the combined stresses caused by Falcon 9 accelerating through the
Max
atmosphere
Q.
and the ambient static pressure are at their greatest. Just had max Q. The rocket typically needs to go 17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and get into orbit. You can track our progress to orbit by keeping an eye on the Stage 1 telemetry in the bottom corner of your screen. We have several events coming up in quick succession, starting with main engine cutoff, or MECO, stage separation, second engine start 1, or SES1, and fairing separation. During MECO, we'll shut down the 9 Merlin 1D engines, which is followed by stage separation. Once separated from the second stage, the booster will begin heading back to Earth, while simultaneously the second stage MVAC engine will ignite for the first time, followed quickly by fairing separation. Great views right there.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
And there you heard and even saw those events that happened back to back, including MECO, stage sep, SES1. We should be coming up on fairing separation shortly, and we'll be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves again today once they fall back to Earth using our recovery vessel, Doug. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see those grid fins deploying on the booster.
Fairing separation confirmed.
An awesome call out and view of fairing separation. Reminder, we are planning to retrieve these fairing halves again today using our recovery vessel, Doug.
All vehicles are on nominal trajectories.
We're now T plus 4 minutes and 37 seconds into today's mission. At about T plus 6 minutes and 24 seconds, the first stage's entry burn will begin. And for the entry burn, we relight 3 of the M1D engines on the first stage, starting with the center E9 engine, followed shortly after by the E1 and E5 engines, which slows down the vehicle as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere. We need to slow down to reduce re-entry forces, which ultimately helps us recover and reuse the first stage. We are coming up on that entry burn pretty shortly, but for now we have some great views of Stage 2 and of MVAC continuing to burn. We're switching back and forth between two camera views that we have on Stage 2.
Stage 1 entry burn started.
Stage 1 AFTS is saved.
An awesome view of entry burn on the first stage. During entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, but we're still moving really fast. And if you look at the bottom left-hand side of your screen, you can see Falcon 9 Stage 1 is slowing down really fast.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And that marks the end of entry burn. Reusability is key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, which enables more investments in critical scientific research. The Falcon 9 first stage that is supporting today's mission had just performed this entry burn for its 20th time. The Merlins on the first stage are optimized for sea level, and these achieve around 190,000 pounds of thrust during ascent and re-entry.
Stage 2 terminal guidance.
The MVAC engine is optimized to operate in space, producing 220,500 pounds of thrust in vacuum. Coming up next, we'll shut down our MVAC engine on the second stage, followed quickly by our landing burn on the first stage. And as a reminder, we'll be attempting to land on our drone ship named A Shortfall of Gravitas.
Stage 1 transonic.
Which recently saw its 100th successful landing.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
Seco.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Nominal orbit insertion.
Great callouts there. Second engine cutoff 1. And we are currently in landing burn. And waiting for Falcon 9 to land on the drone.
Landing leg deployed. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And there you have it. That landing marks SpaceX's 341st successful recovery of an orbital-class rocket, including first-stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. And with that, let's return to our mission in progress. We're awaiting confirmation of nominal orbital insertion. And we did have confirmation of nominal orbital insertion. The second stage is now embarking on its coast phase. After the coast phase, we will relight that MVAC engine around the T plus 28 minute mark, and that will be followed by payload deploy around the T plus 35 minute mark. Before we take a short break for the coast, we have a message from our customer, Space42. After that, we'll see you back here in about 17 minutes.
Since the Thuraya 4 mission was announced in 2020, Space42 team have worked tirelessly to provide our customers with a spacecraft that will offer higher speeds, enhanced services, and superior security. As Space42's 6th geostationary satellite, Thuraya 4 will offer next-generation mobility solutions that broaden our coverage and connectivity services across Africa, Europe, Central Asia, and the Middle East. It is also an impressive technological feat, as Thuraya 4 features one of the world's largest L-band antennas at 12 meters, which means more applications for defense, government, and enterprise customers. Thuraya 4's advanced capabilities empower it to fulfill its mission of one world deeply connected, a vital necessity for thriving in today's interconnected world. Space42 takes pride in its contribution to delivering continuous, reliable, and secure communication solutions. This is not only a major moment for Space42, it is also a proud moment for the UAE, which outlined an ambitious national space strategy that aims to accomplish by 2030. I would like to thank the Space42 team for their tireless work over the past 4 years, and our partners Airbus and SpaceX for their continued support. Today is a moment of celebration for the industry as we continue to advance our tech capabilities and apply the insights from space to improve life on Earth. We are overwhelmingly proud of the milestones we have accomplished so far and look forward to seeing Thuraya 4's impacts become a reality.
Welcome back to the webcast of the Falcon 9 mission carrying the Thuraya 4 next-generation geostationary communication satellite. Falcon 9 lifted off at 8:27 p.m. Eastern Time from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. In addition to an on-time liftoff, we had successful main engine cutoff, stage separation, the first burn of the second stage, fairing separation, and a successful first stage landing. This marked the 20th landing for this particular booster and the 92nd landing on our drone ship, A Shortfall of Gravitas. We're now coming up on the second relight and shutdown of our MVAC engine in about less than 20 seconds. This second engine of the MVAC engine on the second stage will carry the Thuraya 4 payload into the orbit needed to deploy the satellite. This burn will be followed by shutdown of the MVAC, also known as Second Engine Cutoff 2 or SECO 2. So let's wait for those callouts.
MVAC ignition.
There we just had SES 2. This burn is planned to last about a minute. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can see the speed increasing during the second burn of the MVAC. As the speed continues to increase, so does the altitude of the second stage.
MVAC shutdown.
And with that second engine cutoff, or SECO 2, we're now just a few minutes away from that payload deploy.
Nominal deploy orbit.
We'll take one more short break for the final few minutes of coast, and we'll see you back here in about 4 minutes. Welcome back to the Thuraya 4 mission. We've had a great mission so far, and we're now just under 2 minutes away from expected payload deploy. Today, we're delivering to orbit the Thuraya 4 next-generation geostationary satellite for Space 42. Thuraya 4 will allow the company to extend its service across a greater area, serving customers in Europe, Africa, Central Asia, and the Middle East, as well as portions of the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. The satellite will be able to respond real-time to surges in demand in hotspot areas while serving 3 times the number of customers over traditional mobile satellite systems. We have a great view of our payload right there, and payload deploy coming up in just under 30 seconds from now.
Payload separation confirmed.
And we heard the call out, and there you can see we have a beautiful view of successful deployment of the Thuraya 4 next generation satellite. And that wraps up our coverage for today. Thank you for joining us for Falcon's 429th successful mission overall and our first launch of 2025, the first of many to come. All of us here at SpaceX want to give a big thank you to our customer, Space 42, for entrusting us with today's mission. We also want to thank the Eastern Range and Federal Aviation Administration for supporting today's launch. Remember to follow at SpaceX on X for ongoing launch updates. And from all of us here at SpaceX, have a happy new year. We'll see you again soon.